So my birthday was on March 25th, and this year I turned 23. It's really crazy to me to say that I've aged to the age of 23, but I think it's even crazier for me to actually be excited to age. Here are some lessons that I learned in my early 20s. It was my birthday a few days ago. Yes, I am 23 now. It is literally so surreal to me. I really did not think I was gonna make it to 23, but here I am. Aries season. Today I'm gonna be talking about lessons I've learned and lessons I truly wish I knew before I turned 23. These lessons have completely shaped me and I really just learned them the past year. Like, they're newer lessons, but they're so important, and I'm gonna be taking these lessons with me for like the rest of my life. Also, thank you to everyone who gave me birthday wishes. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much. This journey called life is crazy. Who would have thought I would be here making YouTube videos, doing social media full time, and literally creating the best support system on my platforms? Like, what? I'm literally just so grateful for every single one of you guys. But that being said, let's go ahead and talk about our lessons. Health is wealth, mentally and physically, especially fixing your mental health. I had the worst mental health within the past few years. Doing all of the internal work and reflecting, meditating, doing yoga, looking within, I have never been happier. Like, today, I feel happy, I feel strong, and I feel really confident, and my self-esteem is like up here. And that's because I fixed my mental health. And ever since I fixed my mental health, or at least healed that part of me, the energy is literally visible. I feel like my internal is so amazing that you can physically see that shit, right? Is it just me? The second thing I've learned is that once you become 18, you're literally an adult. You are an adult just like every other adult. Meaning, don't listen to every single adult just because they're older than you. You're also an adult. If a person is living a life that you genuinely don't find interesting, inspiring, or you just wouldn't live their life, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them, because their credibility is going to be biased because they live a different life. The way they perceive things is going to be super different than the way you want to live. So it's like, are we gonna take advice from somebody that hasn't made any life choices that we would take into account? Like, does that make sense? And the reason I say this is because a lot of times people will project their own personal experiences and hardships onto you, and they think that they're telling you to make you better, but instead I feel like they're just projecting and they're instilling like their own traumas onto you. And if you listen to them, you're just gonna repeat that cycle. The third thing is to make sure you get your full 8 hours of sleep every single day. I don't care if I'm gonna have to sleep in to get my hours of sleep. I'm gonna get my hours of sleep, because having my full 8 hours, sometimes 9 hours, makes me feel so energized. I have so much energy to literally achieve every single thing I want in this daily routine. Why is this helicopter so loud? But also, with getting your full 8 hours of sleep, I do like to sleep early so that I get my full 8 hours and I'm waking up a little early, and then I have so much I can do with my day. The next thing I learned is that you do not have to rush to get your life together. This is something I think we all kind of dealt with or deal with now, is feeling like we're on a timeline, feeling like we have to do whatever so that we can get our life together and that we can go and be happy and like have a house, make money, and find our significant others. I don't even know, especially in the day and age where social media is a thing and we're always comparing ourselves to other people. And especially like me personally, feeling like, you know, I do social media for a living, so seeing other people do social media and being on different levels as me, like, it definitely created this like internal feeling of I'm just not good enough, I'm not doing enough. But in reality, we are all living completely different journeys and we're on different paths. The way I healed this was completely just surrendering. There are no timelines. I don't give a fuck. I completely just surrendered and gave my hands to the universe. I just said, you know what, I'm done trying to control my life. Honestly, that just gives me so much stress. What happens when you try to control your life so fucking much is that it literally drains you every single day. What happens when you run out of energy? You surrender. And when you release your control and you surrender, you'll realize that on the other side of that, at least me personally, like, I was never really alone. If you believe in God, you can say, God always had my back. The universe has your back. Sometimes you control things so much that it causes even more resistance because you're so fixated on the outcome and not expecting anything, but just having goals, but not putting a timeline on it. It literally allowed me to find more joy, because when you stop setting these expectations, it just allows allows you to take in everything and you're not gonna be disappointed anymore. Like, I don't know how to explain that. The answers to your life problems will never be outside of you. It doesn't matter what you buy, who you're with, what friends you have, literally anything external. It doesn't matter because your answers are always within. Fuck the timeline, fuck rushing. You're on your own journey. Do what's best for you. You know what's best for you. Stop letting your ego control you and make you think you want certain things when in reality, like, that's not in your vision for right now. Like, the answers are not outside of you, they're within you. So these are the moments where you just need to meditate and actually look within. Start listening to your intuition. Start doing some shadow work so that you can learn how to validate yourself in every fucking area, whether that be physically, mentally, in your love life, in your friendships. Like, having specific things and like a specific job, we think it's gonna make us happy, but once we get it, we realize the issue was never having those things. The issue was something inside. Like, I used to think having a certain amount of money would make me so happy, and then I got it and I realized I'm fucking stressed, and it's because I had financial anxiety within. Having a certain amount of money didn't do shit for me because I myself wasn't happy. Your environment is a representation of you. Who you hang out with, who you talk to, what you listen to, what are you feeding your brain, what are you watching? Every single thing represents you. Take this as a moment to self-reflect, because if you don't like what you see, there is a reason. And so if you look at the people around you and you feel happy, okay, that's good. You're with the right people. But if you're with people that do things you don't necessarily agree with, that's a moment you have to just question and think, what about me connects me to these people? What do I have in common with these people? Would you rather watch gossip and tea channels on YouTube, or would you listen to information that'll help you grow spiritually, mentally, physically? Like, which of the two, you know? Nothing changes if you don't change anything. So be self-aware and do something about it. If you are comfortable chilling, you're not gonna grow. You're gonna live your same boring ass life every single day. But if that's what you want to do it. Because if you're gonna live a very mundane life and you're not happy, but you're just gonna live like that by choice, that allows other people to thrive and flourish and look better than you. That's so mean, but to be honest, like, do you want to be stagnant and bored, or do you want to be taking risks, putting yourself in situations where you can grow, always being outside of your comfort zone and being up here? Do you want to be the average Joe, boring, mundane, or do you want to be like fucking up here, amazing, awesome, life purpose fulfilled, successful? In your own words, choose your destiny. What I'm trying to say is that if you live a life where you're completely comfortable and you're never putting yourself in situations where you can make mistakes and fail, you're gonna just live a super boring life. And personally for me, like, I just can't. My life purpose is to constantly discover myself, and you can't discover yourself if you don't fuck up or take risk or make change. Recently I've been noticing that every day almost feels uncomfortable, and it's because I'm putting myself in a different position where a year ago I was afraid to take risks and I lived always comfortable. I was always just chill, safe don't teach you lessons, bitch. That anxiousness I've been feeling recently has been almost addicting because it's a good anxious. It's a wow, I'm doing something new. But I know at the end of the day, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna grow, and I'm gonna elevate. So if you want to elevate, you need to take risks. Like, I will be damned if my life looks the same as it did 2 fucking years ago. Nothing is permanent. We always think our reality is like the worst thing ever and that we're never gonna be able to get out of it, but nothing is permanent, meaning your problems now are meant for you to overcome them, because everything happens for a reason. We're supposed to grow. And so if you have a problem now, face it, be fucking brave, communicate, be compassionate, because I promise you, in every hardship there is a lesson, and it's all preparing you for the person that you will be in 10-15 years. If you have a problem and you've been having the same repeated like issue for like the past few years, that is a very clear indication that you haven't overcome that, and that's why it's still your reality. But like, I get it, because certain problems are really hard to just overcome because they're super uncomfortable to face, whether that means communicating to a friend, a family member, healing certain traumas, being in a job you don't like, having friends you don't, I don't know, like, it all could just be different situational to you. But if you're running into the same issue, it's because you haven't healed that part of you and you need to elevate. And my dog is barking. Something else I've learned is that you need to put your friends in brackets. What I mean by that is, like, think of percentages. Like, you have the 20% close friends, 50% close friends, 70% close friends, and like the 100% close friends, right? Put them in brackets, because that allows you to not set such high expectations, or not set expectations that are too crazy for that relationship. 100% friends means like you're my absolute bestie. I would tell you literally everything and I can completely rely on you. But what if you put that 100% expectation on somebody that can only give you 40%? You're gonna be so disappointed. The next thing I've learned learned is that confidence doesn't just mean you think you're hot. Confidence isn't just a physical thing. Confidence is having self-trust, is having self-esteem. If you guys have seen my one TikTok, I talked about this. You can't build self-esteem if there's nothing for you to have self-esteem over. Like, what makes you feel confident? What gives you self-trust? How can you have self-trust though if you have nothing to show for it? But having self-trust means you trust yourself. So what are you doing that allows you to trust yourself? Like for me personally, my self-trust comes from having a routine that I do every single day, or at least having a structure on how I live my life and always showing up for myself. That's how I create self-trust. If I know that I am always showing up for myself, I have a routine and I stick with my routine, I'm confident because I know I get shit done. If you feel like your life is a mess, you're not happy with what you're doing, you're not living a routine that makes you happy, of course you're not gonna have any confidence. Confidence is like a within thing. It's like a knowing that you can rely on yourself. The next tip I have is set boundaries. If you're living a life where you're like super unsatisfied with the way people are treating you, with the way your life is going, the way the things around you are looking, and it's like all happening to you, it's because your boundaries are blurry. You need to create boundaries with yourself, having like a morality in order to protect yourself from situations that might disappoint you, right? Like an easy example, if you hate being around people, but you're around people, obviously you're just gonna hate the entire experience. Boundaries are healthy. If you create boundaries and you become very firm in your boundaries and people step on them and you let them know, they are gonna learn how to treat you better. And also, you treat yourself better because you learn how to make yourself happy, how to keep the peace, how to avoid the disappointment, but also that just teaches other people how to respect you. I have learned that our brains have two sides. Think of it like this. You have your yin and your yang. You have your good and your bad. You have your higher self and you have your shadow self. The moment I learned this separation, it has allowed me to understand where my thoughts come from. Like sometimes I have thoughts and I'm like, okay, is that coming from my more positive energy side or is that coming from my more negative energy side? In knowing the energy in which your thoughts are coming from, this can allow you to just observe it. Then you can take action on if you want to allow that emotion to dictate how you feel. Keyword, observe. You know that our brain has like this cycle of thought moving to feeling, and that feeling can create thoughts, and it's like this entire endless loop. When we think something, chemically our brain creates a feeling. It becomes this endless cycle. Like literally your brain will create a feeling if you have a thought. So what I want you to do is when you have a thought, observe your thought. Your thought doesn't have to become a feeling. Your thought literally can stay neutral. You can look at it and be compassionate towards yourself and be like, you know, interesting thought, but I'm not gonna do that, you know? Like your thought could be like, you're ugly, and then you could be like, okay, that was real negative, let me think about that and observe that emotion. Where is this coming from? You know, am I feeling insecure? What's happening? And then you could look at it and be like, interesting emotion, but we're not gonna feed into that because I know that that's just my negative side talking, and in reality, like, I love myself, I'm hot. I like to just section my thoughts and not react based off of the thought until I observed it, until I've looked at it, until I've talked to that thought. Like sometimes we just have a thought and we think that thought is everything, but in reality, like, we at any moment can change that thought into something positive. Hopefully that made sense, but in my next podcast episode, which will be coming out this Sunday, I will talk about it more. Having anxiety doesn't have to be a bad thing. Honestly, feeling anything negative, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Think of it as communication from your higher self about yourself. Like if you're feeling anxious, you can look at it as, okay, clearly, energetically, mentally, physically, like something is misaligned and the universe is trying to talk to me. Think about it and let's dissect it, let's talk about it, let's heal that part of us so that we can be happy. We can release all this tension built inside. Like from personal experience, having anxiety was because I had a lot of pent-up emotions that I just didn't want to release because I thought that that would completely control my life. I thought that was gonna make me, you know, weak or make me just look so unstable mentally. But having anxiety and realizing that's tension built up has allowed me to just be more compassionate towards my anxiety and look at it as something that I just need to heal. And so having conversations with myself, going to therapy, those things can help a lot. Journaling, meditating, actually talking to yourself and facing your emotions can help release all of that anxiety and it could go away. We truly work in intervals. Like as humans, sometimes we have so much energy and other times we just don't have as much energy. It's all about just being compassionate because consistency doesn't mean showing up for yourself every single day. There are some days you're just not not feeling your best. It's about having compassion for yourself and understanding that you're gonna have your off days and you're gonna have your great days, and that you don't have to be perfect every single day. Release that pressure of being perfect every day, because you're on a journey. You're not in a race. This thing called life is a journey. It's okay to not be perfect all the time. It's good to have your really great days, and it's good to not have your great days. Like, that's just a part of human nature, and it's the balance. You can't be pouring and pouring and pouring all the time, giving yourself out all the time. There are times where you need to take a break. Be lazy sometimes. It's about showing up for yourself the next day. Showing up for yourself again and again, even when you have your off days. In those little bits of putting in effort, it's gonna show in the long run. Set the intention, put in the work, but have your rest days. Another thing I've learned, and honestly this is like one of the most important things I've learned, is that self-love means having compassion for yourself. Like, self-love truly just means you love every single part of you, the good or the bad, and you don't allow any emotions to hide in the shadows. Even the times where you feel like shit, and even the times where you are dwelling in your shadows, in those times, have compassion for yourself, listen to yourself, allow those moments to just have a platform to speak. And again, just like earlier, you can observe your thoughts, but are we gonna allow those to dictate who we are? Are we gonna allow those thoughts to become our identity today, right? Everything is a projection. Literally everything that you're not cool with, everything that pisses you off, it is a projection of something you have inside. A boundary you're not cool with, everything is a projection. Even when people talk shit about you, that's more about them than it is about you. There's something in them that they hate that they just want to project onto you. And when you have self-love and you're compassionate towards yourself, it allows you to just not project your shit onto other people, because you love yourself. You're not going to find other people to validate you. You have all that within you. Having compassion for yourself will allow you to have compassion for other people. When you're forgiving towards yourself and you understand yourself, it just allows you to give more grace to other people, in the end making you just happier. Being authentic is what's going to lead you to happiness. If you want to live like everybody else and copy everybody else, basically be a sheep, you're not going to stand out. You're going to be boring. Nobody's going to look at you, and you yourself are not going to really have anything to be confident about. You're not going to be happy because you're living for other people. Being authentic means I don't give a fuck about what other people say, think, or do. I'm gonna do what's good for me. I'm gonna dress the way I want. I'm gonna make my cute room the way I want. I'm gonna have the job I want. I don't care what people think. I don't care how much money I'm gonna get. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna live for me. When you live a life where other people are constantly telling you what you should do, you're just gonna be living for other people's judgment. That's not gonna lead to a happy life. That's just gonna lead to a life of self-comparison, misery, boredom. And being authentic just means doing stuff you like. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do. You don't have to know exactly who you are. You just have to know in the present time now, what do I want to do? What would I do today that could make me happy, excited? What could I do today that'll help me grow? What could I do today that's outside of my comfort zone? And in doing that, every single day, you're gonna discover yourself more and more. The next tip is that there are no wrong decisions or right decisions. At the end of the day, every decision just is a different path. No matter what, you're gonna learn, right? So if you're always learning and growing and discovering more about yourself, how is that a wrong decision? How is that a mistake? Honestly, there are no mistakes. There are just different learning lessons. At the end of the day, everything is happening for a reason. You just have to have faith in that. Another thing I've learned is that if you want to be happy, you need to have balance. Balance being, there are these 3 tiers, okay? These 3 sections. And if you fulfill each section, you're gonna be happy, okay? There's happiness of pleasure, grace, and meaning. But what does that even mean? Happiness of pleasure means having happiness in those things that bring you pleasure, which are like the senses, what you see, what you eat, what you taste, what you feel. Those are the things that are a lot easier to indulge in. Like me, this is me indulging in my happiness of pleasure. It's getting my sweet tea. It makes me so happy. But a lot of times we only indulge in pleasure, which makes us neglect our other things, like happiness of grace. Happiness of grace means just having compassion and giving grace to other people. It's like showing love to other people, forgiving other people with no expectations in return. It's just having this eternal love for everyone and just being like, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive myself. And I'm just a being of love. It's releasing grudges and finding peace. But a lot of times this is really hard for us to do, because that means that we would have to rekindle relationships and face our traumas. A lot of people don't get past this point. A lot of us are not happy because we don't want to do the shadow work. We don't want to talk about our traumas. But in doing that, it keeps you stuck in the pleasures and you're not happy. You have anxiety. You're stressed out. It's because you don't know how to work through your problems. You don't know how to give grace to yourself and others. And that being said, the last thing being happiness of meaning, which means indulging in creative processes, doing activities that can give you a sense of meaning. For me, creating this happiness of meaning means my job, my career, doing Pilates, doing yoga, like these things give me a sense of meaning. Having hobbies give me a sense of meaning. It's about having the balance between pleasure, grace, and and meaning. If all you do is work every day and you have no hobbies, no wonder you're not happy. You need balance. The next thing I learned is that energy is literally everything. Energy is always moving. So if you want to achieve anything, you just have to move your energy towards that certain thing you want, because energy is momentum, it builds. So like example, if you want to be a social media influencer, right? This is what I do. All you have to do is put your energy onto an action that the social media person would do. You need to start creating content, and once you start moving towards that energy, you'll realize that you're gonna get into flow. You're gonna start doing more and more that's aligned with that energy. Your mindset starts to shift, your habits starts to shift, and you'll learn that all it took was you taking that first step. Everything is energy, guys. Like if you want to skip the gym, but you're gonna skip the gym again, and you're gonna skip the gym again, and you're gonna skip it again and again and again, no wonder you never go. Is because you've built momentum towards this unmotivated laziness that has become a momentum in your life. Break that pattern, create a new habit. It literally takes like a few weeks for habits to start becoming your like daily. It takes 3 months though for you to like really build a habit and for it to not be difficult anymore. You know what? I was gonna give you guys 23 lessons I've learned, but honestly I've been giving you guys so many and I know this video is gonna be so long. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me. I'm fucking 23. I have no more lessons to give. I'm so tired. But you know what? When I become 25 or like when I'm 30, maybe I'll make another one of these. But like 23, I felt the need to make this video because I feel like I am the most conscious I've been in my whole life. Mentally, I feel like I have awoken. I am mindful. I am seeing my actions, and I don't know, this year is different. Like I feel like I grew up this year. The fuck. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And that being said, I will see you guys next week. Bye. Mwah.